In the meantime, let's go back to New York City. Want to get some updates on the case that is unfolding there regarding Sean Diddy Combs.
Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household.
Sean Diddy Combs, a name that echoes luxury, power, and unshakable success, is now at the center of an unimaginable downfall. The once untouchable entertainment mogul, celebrated for chart-topping hits and an empire built on ambition, faces a shocking twist of fate that has left the world stunned. From private jets and designer suits to the unforgiving confines of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, Diddy's meteoric rise has collided with a sobering reality. His gilded lifestyle of A-list parties and opulent indulgence has been replaced by cold steel bunks, harsh fluorescent lights, and the unyielding rules of incarceration. For a man who mastered the art of commanding every room he entered, adapting to life behind bars is proving to be his greatest challenge yet. The world watches, captivated, as the man who once defined dominance now struggles to navigate a reality far removed from the empire he built.
To the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs, this one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment, as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get?
For Diddy, the adjustment has been nothing short of grueling, and it's not just the physical realities of incarceration weighing on him, but the psychological toll as well. Insiders close to the situation reveal that the music mogul is struggling to cope with his new environment, a stark contrast to the world of tailored comforts he once commanded. This is someone who's always lived on his own terms, a source familiar with the case disclosed. To go from that to having every minute of your day dictated by someone else, it's hitting him hard, and it shows. Observers at his recent court appearances have noted a shocking transformation. Diddy, now visibly thinner and grayer, is almost unrecognizable from the larger-than-life figure who once dominated red carpets and boardrooms.
Yeah, but so there's still, it's crazy too because there's still more happening in court. Everything is still active even though we're not hearing about it as much anymore, and the people may be fatigued like we talked about prior.
His appearance has sparked widespread speculation, with many questioning if the stress of his circumstances is taking a serious toll on his health. Others point to his reported refusal to eat meals provided at the detention center, a decision allegedly driven by concerns for his safety. According to a prison consultant familiar with such cases, Diddy may fear that his food could be tampered with, a possibility that doesn't seem far-fetched considering his high-profile status and the enemies he may have made over the years. Imagine someone with outside connections bribing a prison worker to slip something into his meals, the consultant suggested. If I were in his position, I'd be cautious too. Instead of consuming the standard prison fare, Diddy is said to be relying on commissary items such as chips and prepackaged snacks, a far cry from the luxurious and nutritious meals he once enjoyed.
Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is
yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession.
This fear for his personal safety extends beyond his diet. Reports suggest that Diddy has been placed under heightened security measures, including being housed in the Special Housing Unit, a section reserved for inmates who may be at risk or pose a risk to others. While this isolation provides some level of protection, it also intensifies the psychological burden. Being cut off from the general population might shield him from potential threats, but it also means spending more time alone with his thoughts, a daunting prospect for someone grappling not only with the loss of freedom, but also the collapse of a meticulously crafted public image.
It sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotape.
The ripple effects of his incarceration are being felt far beyond the walls of the detention center. For his family, the experience has been equally jarring. During a recent court hearing, Diddy was seen mouthing the words, "You okay?" to one of his sons in the gallery, a rare moment of vulnerability from a man who has always embodied strength and control. His children, who grew up surrounded by luxury, now face the harsh reality of seeing their father in a prison jumpsuit, a stark and sobering reminder of how quickly fortunes can change.
In fact, occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, and not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, of engaging and voluntarily engaging in the conduct and being in those spaces, consuming alcohol and things of that nature.
But while his family may be rallying around him, the same cannot be said for the court of public opinion. Diddy's arrest and the charges against him have ignited intense debate, with some staunchly defending the mogul and others condemning him outright. The allegations, ranging from coercion to organized misconduct, paint a damning picture, leaving even his most loyal fans questioning how well they truly know the man behind the music. His legal team has been working tirelessly to secure his release, proposing multi-million-dollar bail packages and house arrest options, all of which have been denied. The courts, citing concerns about potential witness tampering and flight risk, have made it clear that Diddy will remain behind bars until his trial begins in May. The denial of bail has only added to his frustration, and according to insiders, it's beginning to show. Reports from within the detention center suggest that Diddy has experienced moments of emotional outburst, including an incident where he allegedly begged staff to take him to the prison hospital, claiming he was on the verge of a breakdown. While his legal team has downplayed these claims, framing them as standard stress reactions to an unfamiliar environment, the rumors persist, fueling speculation about his mental state.
And safety can mean a couple different things. Safety just doesn't mean free from harm of violence. Safety can also too mean emotional and mental dynamics that could occur by Sean Combs reaching out to potential witness to get them to possibly change.
And then there's the issue of his public image, perhaps the heaviest burden of all. For years, Diddy has been more than just a musician or a businessman. He's been a symbol of ambition and success, a brand unto himself. To see that image tarnished so publicly is a blow not just to his ego, but to the empire he spent decades building. His lawyers have accused prosecutors of orchestrating a smear campaign, pointing to leaked videos and strategically timed media leaks as evidence of an effort to sway public opinion against their client. Whether or not these claims hold weight, one thing is certain. The court of public opinion is a powerful force, and right now, it's not leaning in Diddy's favor. Compounding his woes are the conditions at the Metropolitan Detention Center, a facility infamous for its poor living standards. Former inmates and legal experts have described it as hell on earth, citing issues like overcrowding, unsanitary conditions, and a lack of basic amenities. For someone like Diddy, accustomed to a life surrounded by luxury, the adjustment has been particularly brutal. A former inmate-turned-prison consultant described the reality of being housed in the special housing unit where Diddy is reportedly held. You're in a cell that's maybe 8 by 10 feet with a steel bed and a thin mattress. There's no pillow, no books, nothing to distract you. It's just you and your thoughts. Yet despite these challenges, those close to Diddy insist that he remains focused on his defense. Sources claim he's spending his time working out, meditating, and reviewing legal documents to prepare for his upcoming trial. His legal team has expressed confidence in his ability to fight the charges, stating that the evidence against him is circumstantial at best. But with each passing day, the pressure mounts, and the cracks in his once impenetrable facade are becoming increasingly difficult to ignore.
To me, like, how did you keep, why did you keep going? Why were you there? I'm like, it literally is around me. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. Like, I have no choice.
The walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn may be cold and unyielding, but the drama unfolding inside is anything but static. Shah Diddy Combs, once the reigning king of hip-hop and a symbol of opulence, now faces a daily reality starkly removed from his life of extravagance. The once dominant businessman, celebrated for his sharp suits, private jets, and exclusive parties, is now navigating the grim conditions of one of the country's most notorious detention centers. As his legal troubles mount by the day, whispers about his behavior behind bars are proving to be just as captivating.
And he is very, very dominant. Like, he wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, you know, it is scary because you think, you know, this person or possibly his social network or the people he's around could make or break your career.
Reports from insiders paint a vivid picture of a man desperately trying to adjust to a world that offers no special treatment, no luxury, and no escape. Diddy, who once commanded a sprawling empire, is now confined to a small cell that feels more like a punishment than a temporary setback. The facility's notorious reputation precedes it, with former inmates describing it as a nightmare of overcrowding, poor conditions, and an endless cycle of tension and violence. One former inmate even called it hell on earth, and by all accounts, Diddy isn't immune to the harsh realities of his new surroundings.
Say the wrong thing, or you complain, or you know, I don't know. There's an element where you're just, I guess, manipulated in a way to make you feel like, oh, you have to please everyone around you. You can't say anything wrong. You don't want to say a bad thing, or, you know, when they're constantly asking, would you like to do drugs? And you're like, well, I don't do drugs. And they're like, well, why don't you?
But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of his incarceration is the psychological toll it's taking. According to those close to him, the stress of his legal battles, combined with the isolation of his current environment, is pushing him to his limits. Rumors have swirled about moments of vulnerability, including a supposed outburst where he allegedly begged to be taken to the prison hospital, fearing he was on the verge of a breakdown. While his team has brushed these claims aside, insisting he's simply adjusting to a difficult situation, the cracks in his once impenetrable facade are becoming harder to ignore. Adding fuel to the fire are reports of Diddy's refusal to eat standard prison meals. The reasoning behind this decision is as dramatic as everything else surrounding his case. According to a prison consultant familiar with the inner workings of the facility, Diddy is paranoid about the possibility of tampering. Someone in his position has every reason to be cautious, the consultant explained. He's made plenty of enemies in his career, and the idea that someone could use food as a way to harm him isn't far-fetched. Instead, Diddy has been relying on commissary snacks to get by, a far cry from the gourmet meals he once enjoyed.
Using, allegedly, these events to invite them back to these private mansion parties and hotel parties and God knows what else. But he was utilizing the branded events to be able to, you know, get the girls to come over to his private space.
The fear for his safety doesn't stop there. Diddy's placement in the special housing unit, a section reserved for inmates who require additional protection, speaks volumes about the perceived risks he faces. While isolation may shield him from potential threats, it also amplifies the mental strain. Days bleed into nights with little to break the monotony, and for someone who built a career on being surrounded by people, the loneliness is undoubtedly overwhelming. It's a far cry from the bustling social world he inhabited just a few months ago.
There is so many people involved in this situation that works the machine here, that, you know, Diddy's obviously the head of the whole situation, you know, the king of parties, but there is multiple other people involved that are helping along the situation or, you know, participating.
Meanwhile, his legal team is fighting an uphill battle to secure his release, but so far, the courts have remained unmoved. The charges against him are serious, and prosecutors have painted a picture of a man who is not only a flight risk, but also someone who could potentially influence witnesses, if given the chance. Judges have repeatedly denied his requests for bail, citing concerns about obstruction and the possibility that he could use his considerable resources to evade justice. These rulings have left Diddy in a precarious position, with no choice but to endure the harsh realities of detention as he prepares for a trial that could define the rest of his life. But while the legal proceedings are the primary focus, the conditions at the Metropolitan Detention Center are impossible to ignore. The facility has long been criticized for its substandard conditions, which include overcrowding, unsanitary facilities, and inadequate medical care. Inmates have described it as a place where hope goes to perish, and even judges have expressed reluctance to send defendants there. For someone like Diddy, who is used to the very best of everything, the adjustment has been particularly brutal. Reports suggest that he has struggled to adapt to the food, the lack of privacy, and the overall environment, which stands in stark contrast to the life he once led.
Surprised with the decision? I'm surprised that Judge Subramanian entertained it. He held a 2-hour hearing, which we were covering live, and he issued a 5-page written order. Most other judges, including the 2 previous judges, to consider this issue, summarily denied the bail motion. I think a lot of it stems from Judge Subramanian being a newer judge. This is a Biden appointee.
The situation is made even more complicated by the high-profile nature of his case. With the world watching, every detail of his time behind bars is magnified, fueling speculation and debate. Some have argued that his status as a public figure makes him a target, not just within the facility, but also in the court of public opinion. Others believe that his wealth and influence should afford him better treatment, a notion that has sparked fierce criticism from those who view his incarceration as a long overdue reckoning. As if the conditions weren't challenging enough, Diddy is also facing the emotional strain of being separated from his family. His children, who have been a constant source of support throughout his career, are now forced to see their father in a light they never expected. During a recent court appearance, Diddy was seen exchanging a silent but poignant moment with one of his sons, mouthing the words, "You okay?" as if to reassure him that he's holding up. The moment, captured by onlookers, offered a rare glimpse into the personal toll this ordeal is taking on him and his loved ones.
It was always going to be a tough argument for the government because obviously Combs voluntarily came to New York. He surrendered his passports through his lawyer. He could have fled after the March raids of his Miami and Los Angeles homes, but he didn't. He has access to 2 private jets. I think it was a tougher argument. I know the government made the argument, but clearly the best argument was the dangerousness and the witness tampering. They had much more evidence.
But the challenges don't end there. New allegations have continued to surface, adding to the already overwhelming legal battle he faces. One particularly shocking claim involves a former assistant who has accused Diddy of creating a toxic work environment, complete with outrageous demands and disturbing incidents. According to the lawsuit, the assistant was forced to clean up after lavish parties that often spiraled out of control, leaving behind a trail of chaos that included everything from broken furniture to unspeakable messes. The assistant claims that hotel staff were often paid off to keep quiet, a detail that only adds to the sense of secrecy and control that allegedly defined Diddy's inner circle.
Combs get another shot with Judge Subramanian? Or what will be his likelihood of success in a different court? Because there's currently a pending appeal at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. So to get into all of this, I want to bring on former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani, friend of the show. Nima, thanks so much for coming on. First, before we even get into what he can do next, were you surprised?
And then there's the most recent bombshell, a lawsuit filed by LaTroy Grayson, who has come forward with a harrowing account of her experience at one of Diddy's infamous parties. Grayson, who won an all-expenses-paid trip to one of these events through a radio contest, alleges that what started as a dream quickly turned into a nightmare. According to her account, she was separated from her companion upon arrival, given drinks that made her feel ill, and later woke up in a hospital with no memory of what had happened. The details of her story are chilling, and her decision to come forward now, after so many years, speaks to the growing wave of allegations against the former music mogul. Grayson's lawsuit isn't just aimed at Diddy. It also names several other entities, including the radio station and hotel involved in the contest. She argues that they all played a role in enabling the events that led to her trauma, raising serious questions about accountability and the culture surrounding Diddy's parties. Her decision to publicly identify herself, rather than remain anonymous, adds weight to her claims and sets her apart from many of the other accusers who have come forward in recent months.
Is this completely out of control party on a super yacht, including various celebrities, that when you read it, kind of rings true. I mean, when you read it, it doesn't come off as being something that's completely unbelievable. You have to take into consideration.
As the allegations continue to pile up, the narrative surrounding Diddy becomes increasingly complex. On one hand, he's a man who built an empire from the ground up, a self-made success story who inspired millions. On the other hand, the accusations paint a picture of someone who used his power and influence to manipulate and control those around him. The contrast is striking, and it's left many wondering who the real Diddy is and whether the man who once seemed unstoppable will ever recover from this fall from grace. For now, Diddy remains behind bars, awaiting a trial that promises to be one of the most closely watched court cases in recent memory. The stakes couldn't be higher, not just for him, but for everyone involved. With his career, reputation, and freedom on the line, the outcome of this case will undoubtedly have far-reaching implications. But as the days turn into weeks and the weeks into months, one thing is clear. The story of Sean Combs is far from over. The world is watching, and the questions remain. Will he rise above the allegations and reclaim his legacy? Or is this the final chapter in the story of one of the most influential figures in modern entertainment? Share your insights, and let the discussion begin. Until next time, stay tuned for more celebrity gossip and intrigue. Goodbye for now.